Good morning. It's day 7. No more pills. Thank God for that. Maybe soon my mouth will start tasting normal again, and food and drinks will start tasting normal again. Things have just been tasting off. I guess it's just part of taking the pills. I tossed and turned a lot last night. I think it's time to put more air in this mattress. It's getting kind of dippy. Well, I'm ready to get out of this tent and go get coffee. I hope you guys are having a good morning. So I'm about to eat breakfast, but I'm going to tell you basically what's going on today, what the weather's like, how I'm feeling, and then I'm going to finish up by showing you how I got set up so quickly for this COVID camping time. There's things about me and Paul you don't know about. We're pretty good about the minimalist life. I'll tell you all about it in just a bit. On today's breakfast menu, we have applesauce and cereal. I just can't have anything hot. It's got to be cold. It's already so hot. So it's 11:20 a.m. in one of the very few shady spots on my property. It's already in the upper 90s, and it's supposed to be about 110 again today. Yippee. And I don't know, guys, it's the 7th day today. I think my max of being without people is maybe 3 days, and then I start getting lonely and just needing people time, doing something around people. I don't even necessarily have to interact with them, just being with them. 3 more days, hopefully, if all works out right, I'll be off quarantine. For now, it's just getting through this heat and keeping myself somewhat busy. I've got my hair up already, of course, because, oh my gosh, my long hair feels like a blanket on me. So truly, as far as the way I'm feeling today, I don't feel horrible, but I just don't feel well. I still feel really drained today and still having congestion. I got in a coughing fit in the house today with my mask on. I mean, even though I've got an N95, that still freaks me out. I don't want Paul exposed in any kind of way if I could help it. So I had to get out of the house quick because I couldn't stop coughing. So I don't know, I guess in the next 2 days here or so, without being on the medication anymore, that will tell me, which direction I'm going to go. Other than that, my stomach's been not happy. I mean, that's part of me kind of losing my appetite. I mean, I get hungry and then I eat, but then my stomach still doesn't feel better. Sometimes it actually feels a little worse. So I think that must be the pill, something about it, because it didn't start until then. I mean, I didn't really have an appetite, but it was just because I didn't feel well, blah, blah, blah. Since I took the pill, it's just been like upset. I have to be really careful what I eat because otherwise it feels like a ton of bricks is just in my stomach, and it just doesn't feel good. Been definitely getting enough nutrition. I'm eating at least 3 times a day, like I'm supposed to, hungry or not. Last year, in comparison to this time, I ended up losing 12 pounds. My appetite was not good, and I was so much sicker because I didn't have the antiviral to help me. And so just the sickness that I was feeling went on for such a longer time. So this time, at least I will say the antiviral thing helped me feel better a lot faster, and that was able to keep me eating and drinking and all those different things that I need to do. So I've only lost like maybe 3 or 4 pounds max, and that's not too shabby. Paul brought me a nice cold RC. I got myself some ice. Oh yeah. I know yesterday he brought me that one. It was so absolutely refreshing, made my day. Cheers. Yeah, that hits the spot right there. Oh, nothing better. So it's just a little after 8 p.m. and I'm finally nice and cool. Wore a bigger t-shirt because I'm getting crispy crittered from all this hot sun and trying to do things outdoors. But anyways, I told you earlier, I'd tell you about how me and Paul are a little bit on the minimalist side. When we first got married, we weren't even married quite a year yet. And Paul says, "Hey, what do you think about living on a boat?" And I'm like, "Well, I never thought about it, but I'm willing to go look." And he says, "All right." So at that time, he worked for a marine retail outfit. They had hired him for a really huge company. And his friend that he worked with had one of those racing sailboats. And he says, "Hey, if you guys want to get out of your townhouse sooner and save a lot of money, you could just pay the berthing for my sailboat." So we're like, "Sure." So we literally had this huge yard sale at a house that belonged to a friend that I worked with, and we sold pretty much almost every single thing we owned. We just kept some of the clothes that we would wear that we could put into a big black garbage bag, and some of the necessities that we would need, and that was all we kept. So we stayed in this sailboat that was like 24 feet long because it's a racing one, and down the step it had one of those built-in ice chests because, you know, it didn't have a fridge. It didn't even have a stove or anything. It had like a little tiny sleeping quarters. What we usually did is we would barbecue on a little barbecue that was on the outside of it. So anyways, we would have to empty that ice chest with a cup or glass or whatever we did with it because it didn't even have an outlet for the water to go down. We had to drain it all the time, refill it, and keep things like our half and half and milk and cheese and things like that in it. So that was ongoing. I think we did that for 3 months. So then we finally found the boat that we wanted. It was a 1964 old mahogany Chris Craft. So it's kind of built a little wider, and the whole back end ended up becoming like a front room for us, and the downstairs had like this little tiny bathroom, little tiny closet, and then what we did is it had like the table with the 2 booths. Well, under each seat it had, you know, an area that you could store things. So one side was Paul's for all of his clothes, and one side was mine for all my clothes. And it had like oh gosh, I think it had like a little tiny stove that ran off of some kind of a flaming liquid. We had a toaster oven, a little itty bitty refrigerator, and then a V-shaped bed in the front. We couldn't really bring much things on there. I found this super lightweight sofa, and we put it in the back, and I had this little rocking chair that I still have to this day, and that was our furniture. And every year we would put up this little itty bitty Christmas tree, a little fake one that we got, and we still actually use it to this day in our home now, 30 years later. And we lived on that Chris Craft for 8 years until, unfortunately for Paul, because he really enjoyed that life, but I was like, I need land, I just do. It was a fun and interesting adventure. I learned to live on very little, and we would go on camping trips and it would just be nothing. You know, it's so easy to go on a camping trip because we already lived so minimally. So that saved us a lot of money. It's really inexpensive if you can find a docking place that lets you rent. I mean, in that rent, there's everything is covered. Your berthing, the water, electricity. A lot of the places have a nice bathroom facility where there's showers and everything. And, you know, it was a very inexpensive way for us to live. So when we did say, okay, we're going to go back to land, we had the money to do it. We had a lot saved up. Some of the other things we used to do is we would go for camping trips, and what we would do is we'd do the backpacking style where we would have just the minimal things on us. We'd have a tent that was small and some sleeping bags packed on our backpacks, and we would just hike up into places and set up tent real fast before it got dark. Had everything ready, and in the morning we would be wherever we were. And so that was a pretty neat adventure. Don't quite do that anymore because Paul's back has really gotten bad, unfortunately. Who knows, we might do some small scale some of it again. Anyways, that is some of the background on our minimal lifestyle. So even today, oh my gosh, we know how to live with minimal stuff, but I think we've been living in a bigger home, which is just bigger for us anyways, with a bunch of sheds. We have way too many sheds, but I guess not, because they're all filled with something. Although we don't live like minimalists any longer, we still know how to be it. Anyways, that is the story of me and Paul and our minimalist lifestyle in the past. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, just put your questions in the comments. And thank you for the well wishes. I am feeling a lot better. Today was the first day that I didn't have to take any medication for the antiviral stuff. And I'm actually feeling a lot better this evening. I think the pill was kind of making me feel a little funky. My stomach even is feeling a little bit better by this evening. On Wednesday will be my end of my quarantine, or the last day of my quarantine, I should say. So we're getting very close to that, and hopefully by that point I won't have any symptoms, or just very minimally that aren't any big deal, and that I'll be negative for the COVID. If that's the outcome, then I'm supposed to work Thursday and Friday. So keep me in your prayers, and I'm hoping that's how it goes. You guys have a good evening. I'm going to go get some dinner and get ready for bed. I love you guys, and thank you so much for being so caring, and I'll talk to you in the morning.